Welcome to FabAcademy 2021 wildcard week. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Like, I have a presentation on composites. Should we just start with this one and then talk about the other techniques?
Yeah, that won't be bad. Cool.
Okay, so for making composites, it's important to compress your fibers and your resin all together. So usually you have a part, which would be this one. In this part, in this case, it's like concave, but it could be convex as well. And this one already has like a sealant tape integrated into the mold, but you could just as well take a piece and put it on the table, and then seal it on the table itself. I would recommend to make a positive from a dense foam, like the Roofmate, or this yellow polyurethane foam that we have, which can be milled with a big milling machine. And so you make a positive, and the final part is gonna stick inside or on top of it. And there's a usual sequence of layers that we use. So on the very bottom is your shape. This would be lying somewhere here. Then you put you could put a release film directly on your mold. Actually, you have to put a release film directly on your mold. You could also use a wax or some how do you say, some demoldant spray so that it doesn't stick on your part. Actually, this is a bit confusing because it doesn't really show. I don't see the fibers in here. See, release one, release pupil, breather and bleeder. Yeah. So this one is missing one layer. So there should be a layer here in between, which is your actual fibers. And then on top of the fibers, you put this, what they call release fabric or peel ply, which is basically a fabric that epoxy doesn't stick to, and that is kind of it lets the resin come through. And then you put a breather fabric, which is just a fluffy piece of textile. And this is so that the vacuum can reach all the places. Because imagine, for example, at the place where the hose comes out, if the plastic foil gets sucked down right on itself, and the vacuum doesn't get through. So this is just for keeping some space in between the plastic foil and the rest, so that the air can still go through. Then you have the vacuum bag, which could be either a bag or just a layer of plastic film that goes on top. And here you can also, like, there's several ways you can make it airtight. If you have a bag, like yesterday I posted the link to the sealing tape, but Neil said, oh no, just use the closed bags, which is also a good option. But actually doing it like this, it's a bit easier, because imagine you have this whole big piece and you have to, and you made all your layup and you have everything in its place. And now you want to get it into the bag, which is a problem if you don't have like 3 hands and 2 people. So just putting a layer on top and sticking it to the table is a bit easier. Yeah, so I think this one is a bit more, yeah, so you have the mold, like imagine this shape line here. Then you have the laminate. This could be many layers. Like usually you, for like carbon fiber, you put like 2 to 4 layers at a time, but you could also make 2 layers and then let it dry and harden. You grind it, you polish it, and then you put another 2 layers on top and put it in the bag again. The release fabric or the peel ply, which could also be the perforated film, like you could interchange those. Like if you have the peel ply, great. If you don't, you can just take a film and make lots of little holes in it and use this as a peel ply. Then the breather material, which is this fluffy stuff, and then the vacuum bag and the vacuum pump. There's like special attachments, so you can attach your vacuum pump to the bag, but I think I have some more photos of this. This is a technique. So basically, there's 3 or 4 different ways of doing this. Ours is like just the easiest, which is wet layup. So you put all your fibers and stuff with the resin when it's still wet and sticky, and you kind of have to hurry before the epoxy starts to set. You put it in your bag and you pull a vacuum. Then there's another technique where you make a dry, where you put everything inside the bag, but without any resin on there. And instead of just sucking a vacuum, you also attach another hose where the resin can flow in. So as soon as you pull a vacuum here, it's gonna suck out the resin from this deposit, and it's gonna flow inside your piece, which is nice because you doing the dry layup, you can be very careful. Usually people put some what do you say, some tacky spray like the M3M71. So you spray your mold with this glue spray, then you can put on your fibers, and you have all the time. You're still not in a hurry because you don't have to be afraid of any resin hardening. So you can take all your time and cut your little pieces so that everything lies nice and flat and without wrinkles. And then once everything is under vacuum, you can also like pull the vacuum, wait half an hour to see if everything's tight. And once you're sure that everything is the way you want it, you can open the tap so that the resin can go in. And yeah, for bigger pieces, there's like several places where the resin can come in. And if you use a transparent foil, it's also, you can see it, it's quite visible how it penetrates all the material. And then there's one where you have a double-sided mold, where you pump in the resin. This is like the highest quality result, because under high pressure, all the bubbles get very small. So in like usually with those techniques, you don't have a big problem with bubbles because everything's compacted. But sometimes you might get some little bubbles on the surface, which is like if you want like the perfect finish, this you might have to paint it with another glossy layer so that it looks nice. But if you do the resin transfer molding, you pump in the resin, then you get like a mirror finish right away. But for this, you would need a double-sided mold that is also very sturdy. So this is usually steel or aluminum molds. For the materials, like very common is glass fiber. Of course, carbon fiber, but any other fiber will also do. in FabAcademy, we like to use burlap, which is basically the potato bag material. But you could use also any other textile that is that epoxy sticks to, and that can be easily penetrated. It has to soak up a little bit of the epoxy. If it's a material that is I don't know, polyester, this might not work because it doesn't suck up the resin well enough. The weaving of your fibers make a big difference, and you can get anything from like little bits and pieces, which wouldn't work for vacuum bagging. Might work for vacuum bagging as well, but you can buy like endless fibers, which are very strong. This is sometimes used for reinforcing certain directions or for making like little stiffness parts. Then you can get this stuff. This one is easy to get. They mostly use it for fixing cars, but it has like random direction fibers, which is the only advantage is that it's cheap. I don't like it so much because it's quite messy. And you also don't get the same strength that you would get with a fiber like this. And here you see one which has like the same amount of fibers in both directions. Like depending on the width of your seams, this might be easier or more difficult to deform to your shape. And in carbon fiber, you have a whole list of different weaving patterns, and they mostly differ in their ability to deform to certain shapes. You can imagine that if you have a shape that is like curved in two directions, it's not easy to make your fiber follow the shape without making any wrinkles. But yeah, this is why they came up with like special weaving patterns that follow shapes in different directions very well. And for the carbon fibers, it also makes a difference in strength. So if you have more fibers in one direction than in the other, it will be more it will be stronger in the length direction. And so, for example, for airplane wings, they mostly have fibers that just run in one direction, and then they stack them in like each layer has a different main direction, and so you can, for example, have one lengthwise, then two like slightly diagonal ones, and then another lengthwise one. So it makes it stiff in the bending the whole wing, but also twisting the wing. Yeah, there's special software for calculating the directions of your fibers, but this gets very complicated very quickly. Another way of doing the layup is using pre-preg. So this is a fiber that is already impregnated with a resin. Mostly you buy it frozen, and you have to store it in the fridge. And this is basically, you could do this yourself just by impregnating your fiber with the resin and then keeping it at a cool temperature. But you need to know your resin very well so it doesn't start setting when you like. You need exactly the right amount of hardener, and I guess you would buy a special resin for that. The normal epoxy, I don't think this would work. But then you can take it out of the freezer, out of the fridge, and sometimes they even come with a sticky side, so it's self-adhesive, and you can see that it comes with a layer of plastic on top, and yeah, so you can the plastic makes it easier to cut it and to handle it, and then you put it inside your mold, and in order to make it harden, you have to heat it for a specific time. Usually in an oven. Like last year, we discussed if it would also be possible to heat it with like a heat gun or something, which might work, but yeah, an oven would be better. And yeah, and actually this trick with the foil is quite good. So I recommend you, if you do your wet layup, to also include a plastic foil, which makes it just much easier to handle your material. So for example, for moving it from the place where you poured all your resin on to the place where you want to mold it over your shape, I would include like a plastic foil, because then you can easily cut it and transport it. This is something that is very useful for sealing your vacuum bag. It's called tacky tape. Not sure if we have any in the Fab Lab. Yeah, but I could try and get some. This is like somewhere between warm tar and chewing gum. So it's extremely sticky, and it's perfect for sealing the plastic bag. This is the tack spray, that if you do a dry layup, you can use this for gluing your fibers on top of your mold or inside of your mold. And this is one of those vacuum connectors. So this has those are two pieces, and you put your plastic bag in between. You screw them together, and then you poke a hole so that the vacuum can get through. And this is the place where you would attach your vacuum pump. And it even has a little valve so you can open and close it. This is the peel ply. Maybe you can see that this is a very thin textile. It's usually out of polyester or of some material that where the epoxy doesn't stick to. And it has a lot of little holes, so it kind of sticks a little bit. Let me see if the video is any good that I posted here. But I think this was just for giving you a visual on what it looks like. I'm not sure, can you hear the sound? Well, I can't hear your sound, but yeah. So what you try to achieve with the peel ply is that you use it for getting rid of any excess resin. So once you have everything laid up old, you put the peel ply, and then you take a scraper and you try to push out any excess resin. So this is just a barrier so that you don't scrape on top of your fibers. But the aim is to get rid of any extra resin. You want your fibers 100% saturated, but you don't want any extra epoxy on top of it. So you can use like a spatula or like a scraper and like scrape away everything. So alternative would be this here. This is you can already buy this. It's just like a plastic foil with lots of little holes. But you could also make it yourself by using some regular like food wrap. So yeah, the standard food wrap, I don't know how it's called, cellophane folie, is epoxy doesn't stick to it, so that's an advantage. And in order for pressing through the resin, you need some little holes in there, and you can even buy special tools just for perforating this film. Then is the breather layer, which could be any type of fluffy textile. Something like this would be optimal. So it's similar to what you can, if you have a winter jacket, there might be some, how do you say, instead of feathers, you might be using some other fluffy material. And this is what it looks like. And here I have a bunch of videos from Mike Patty. Like he's really good at carbon fibers, and I recommend you to watch some of his videos because he also yeah, he's just a master of the trade. And let's see. Yeah. So here you can see him like, so he has just a board on the bottom, and he has a positive piece lying on the table. This is just made um, from putty and sculpted and sanded so that it's really nice. And he just added a layer of glass fiber, and you can tell that at the time that he put it, he had here he's still like sanding his mold, but you can see that yeah, now he's just putting away this plastic foil, and this was just for transporting it. So he has another table where he puts the resin, and then he takes it together with the plastic foil, and you can put it and move it, and once everything in its place, you remove the foil, and then you do your final attachments. So you make sure that there's no air bubbles in there, and everything's tight. And now in the next step, oh, this was too fast. Oh, he doesn't even show it. But in the end, what he did, he added. Oh, he didn't add a release foam because he has some how do you say demoldant on the mold. Then he has the fibers. Then he has the peel ply, and then you see the white stuff, which is the breather layer, and then a plastic bag on top. And he just glues it down with duct tape, which is also a working method. You can also see that he's using a circular knife. This is super useful for cutting fibers. And here you can see his special attachment. So he puts one inside the bag, and then he screws the other one on top of it, and then he pokes a hole. And this is the perfect way to attach your vacuum pump. You can see like he's using a two-stage rotary vane pump, and I guess now it's pumping already. He just sealed the last bit just with some tape, and now it's getting compacted. Not sure if he's doing several layers. Yeah, maybe you should just watch the videos yourself. But yeah, you can see the basic steps. In this case, you can see that he's cutting his peel ply so that he can follow the wrinkles more easily. And this is the finished piece. And here you can see him, like his favorite moment is peeling off the peel ply. Yeah, because this is the moment where you see if everything went well, and he really enjoys like just ripping it off. This is another little video where he shows how to make this little part, which is probably very similar to what Harley is doing. He's just very floppy on making the positive shape. In this case, he just glues some wood together and puts it on a board, puts some putty around it, and sands it. Like he loves sanding. He probably spent like years sanding. And this is probably the release thing that he's using, which is what we call Bonawachs in German. It's like the stuff, the wax you put on your stairs for making them nice and shiny. This is an alternative to using a release film. And here you see him already adding the carbon fiber and the pure ply, and it seems that he doesn't even vacuum bag this, or maybe this is maybe this is still coming. No, this one is just like this. And once you polish it up a little bit, it looks really awesome. Here you can see him just demolding, like he made this was his positive in this case, which is like an airplane. He made a positive out of aluminum and some putty, some epoxy putty. And he takes this whole piece off in one go. Yeah, and have a look at the videos. It's really awesome to watch him work. And here you can see some more intricate details inside. And so many times he's just using foam and then a knife and sandpaper for roughing out the shapes that he wants. And in as quick as you can look, he has a finished piece that looks awesome. So this is all pure carbon fiber, and yeah, it's strong, but that's probably 6 to 10 layers. So here, this is going to be the air inlet for his motor, and he just makes like a very rough blocking with foam. And 5 minutes later, you can see him with the finished part. There you see it, the two parts on the sides, and yeah, they're just perfect, including like details like this. Yeah. Oh, this is Stephen Chu. Like I can spot him in this image. You probably know him from the video conference. That's him. He's in Singapore, and they're doing some really awesome carbon fiber electric vehicles. And so, yeah, if you want, they're doing the resin transfer, so they pump in the resin, and yeah, they're quite advanced. But this was also made in a fab lab. Whoops. Video showing the resin infusion, and just quickly. This is a part of a bike. I know that's another video. Let me see if we get to this part. So I'm cutting the ply using the mastic tape for sealing it, poking the holes for the vacuum hose. I know in this case this is for the resin infusion. So this is where the resin is going in. And I hope I can catch the moment where you see him pulled in from the vacuum. Yeah, so he's starting the vacuum, I guess. Now the bag is still open. So now the vacuum has started. So this is the moment where you can still check if everything's tight and airtight. This is a little trap. So this makes sure that the resin doesn't get into your pump. So basically you just have like a jar with an inlet and an outlet. And so if any resin gets in, you don't get it into your pump. You see pressure is building up. And in a second, he will be opening the resin. Then we should see how the resin goes in. Let me jump a bit. Yeah, so now he opened, and this will suck. Oh no, this is where it goes to the vacuum pump. This is just a trap, which is also a nice place to put your vacuum gauge. And let's see. Now he's still mixing. The good thing is that you have all the time because you don't have to hurry because the resin is not mixed yet. Now the resin is mixed, and I think he's just about to open the valves. Yeah. And now we should be seeing how it gets pulled in, and yeah, you see the infusion. And I think he has more than one spot. What's also interesting that the breather layer he's using is just like a grid. It's not the fluffy stuff, but it's just like a plastic grid. And it's just one place. So here he sucks, and on the other side he lets the resin in, and now it will start to get pulled up here, and it goes a trap. It's coming up here. Okay. Then, if you do pre-prac with like bigger pieces, like funnels and stuff, the oven is a bit bigger, so you can see how huge those things are. But we have a quite big oven in Kleve, so if yeah, just for you to know. These are some other examples. Like, unfortunately, I can't find so many good examples from FabAcademy. The best one is probably still Sam Kalish doing his pedals and the boat. But the boat is just wet layup without vacuum. The pedals he did with the vacuum bagging. Another nice example is from Anders Holden. He did a frisbee in the beach lab in Sitges. And this was one of my students, and he made a rack for his bicycle. And you can see the brown burlap. And this was actually a useful piece that he used for hanging his bike on the wall. And this is from Marcus from Camp Linford. So he made those pieces out of carbon fiber. And this was one of my students. Let me see if I can show you the video. So whenever Neil is correcting the composites assignment, he would ask you to hit your piece. And let me just double check if I'm sharing with sound. Optimize for motion and videos. There we go. So let's see if you can hear this.
Now, take the lighter one and hit it. Let me hear you hit it.
All right, there we go.
Okay.
Well, that's on the table. Oh, hit it with the hand.
Okay, hit it. Let me hear what it sounds like. Hit it. Let me hear what it sounds like. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, basically he made a composite with a little circuit inside, and if you hit it, it would scream, "What the fuck?" And yeah, so he made an assignment especially for Neil, just for making fun, and yeah. Okay. Back to my presentation. So this is, if you want to have a look, Daniel Armengo, like he made a great FabAcademy. He made a machine that takes selfies and posts them on Instagram. Okay, might this be the last slide or what? Yeah, so that's it. Sorry that this comes so unexpected. Yeah, this was the last slide. Yeah, so you can have some fun as well. Okay, so this was my short presentation on composites. Any questions on this?
Yeah, I have a question. You can, for example, print the positive side of the mold.
And
So
3D printing?
yeah.
You can, of course, but I think Neil wants to see us milling the mold.
Okay.
But actually,
Because I think if the part is too big, you
yeah,
can print different part
yeah,
in a 3D printer and then put together, put some smoothing.
yeah. You could even make it. It would also make it easier to have it modular, so that you can make it from several pieces. Because I'm thinking of your undercuts on the sides, you could have, like, imagine if you could have it made
Yeah,
from
yeah,
3 pieces, where the middle one slides out, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
you can push in the side pieces. Um, let's talk to Daniele about what he thinks. I would say, especially if you do like a complicated mold, it would be perfectly fine to 3D print it. Yeah, it's you showed that you know how to program a CNC machine, so there shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
And yeah, I would sand it quite well, and maybe
Yeah,
apply a layer of epoxy so that it becomes nice and smooth, and then
yeah,
apply
exactly.
either the release how do you say, the mold release spray, so that you don't have to use what did we call it, the release layer. Yeah,
Yeah.
this will make wrinkles, and you will see the wrinkles in the final result.
Yeah.
And one thing that you might think about is if you want to make your part so that it goes concave, because then the nice side is going to be the inside. Or if you do it convex, so that you lay your fibers inside this shape, because then you could polish your outside very well and make it nice and shiny, and then your outside layer is going to be perfect.
Okay, got it. For example, if you have a part like a fender, for example, for a car, how you put some support thing to get the fender to the chassis or any other structure? So
I
how
think
you
mostly
hold
people
the part?
um, I think the easiest way might be to make your outer shell, and then you in a second step you make like a wood structure and put more fiber on it, and then you might even vacuum bag it, and so you build it up in several steps.
Okay, so I can put, for example, other small pieces of carbon fiber and put some glue or something to use like a support.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you saw the inside of the plane from Mike Patty, like
Yeah.
this is like many steps, and he's making it like mostly 100% carbon fiber, but you could also put steel pieces and wooden pieces inside, and then fiber on top, or not, and start like building up a rigid structure.
Yeah, got it.
And Jeff, you're gonna do the vacuum forming, right?
I think I will, even when I'm not really sure about what like shape or what I'm gonna do for this assignment.
Yeah.
But anyhow, if Harley is going to make the composite, I think I can also make that, so it's gonna be like extra learning for me.
Okay. Yeah.
For a, I don't
Maybe,
know, random shape, something like just could looks nice, but because of, I think that for my final project. I think I'm just gonna laser cut the frame
yeah.
because it's not any special shape.
So I some videos for like inspiration on vacuum forming. So this is like big style vacuum forming. Let's see if they show a picture of the process. So in this, yeah, it's very similar to our machine. So first you put the plastic foil and you seal it, you heat it, and then the actual piece comes from the bottom and is being pushed up, and then you suck the vacuum. This is just like our machine, just a bit bigger. Yeah, I guess you know this process. One thing that is important is that you so if this is the piece that you wanna use for the like, let's say this is the bottom, so this is the table of the vacuum machine, and this is the piece of foam or 3D print or whatever you want to use as a positive. This in the best case, the edges are slightly like this, because if you have a 90-degree angle, it's already like it's going to be very hard to get your foam out of that. You just you glue a piece of wood inside of your foam, and you glue in like a little nut with a thread, and then you can use a bolt, screw it inside your piece, and then pull it out. This makes it a lot easier. Then also like shapes like this are very difficult because the plastic, when it goes over, it will not completely go into those small corners. It will always like leave a little chamfer at the side, which in some cases might be useful and positive, but in most cases you don't want this. One little trick is that you drill a little hole right at this point that goes directly all the way through to where you suck the vacuum, so that the vacuum has an easier time getting here, and it will suck in those corners as well. What people also do is they wear gloves. So right when you turn on the vacuum, you use your fingers and you push the plastic into the corners so that it becomes that it follows the shape nicely. I think that's most of what I have to say about the vacuum forming. Of course, the thinner your plastic, the easier. But also the higher the risk that when you're heating it, it can happen very easily that it burns a hole in one spot and then it's leaking. So this is kind of the compromise. Using very thick plastic makes it harder because you get more wrinkles. And of course, the same idea applies to the vacuum forming as for the composites. If you want your vacuum to get everywhere, using something like this breather layer is a good idea, or using a foam where the vacuum can pass through. But yeah, or drilling holes, or having extra little channels that lead the vacuum to the right place. And another little like motivation, like what's this guy called? Iron Man. So you probably know this James Bruton guy, and so he has some beautiful videos where he makes the Iron Man suit. Let's see if it comes up. Yeah, So you can see this Iron Man thing in the background. This is mostly done with vacuum forming, and so he takes one piece after the other. Here you can see the helmet, and yeah, so this is all vacuum formed. And so this is probably not the best video, but if there's some others where he shows the process very nicely. And it's not uncommon to make pieces out of several parts. Yeah, he's actually 3D printing the negative, and then he's vacuum forming over this. The good thing is you just you can make many copies. Yeah, this is not the right spot, but yeah, you get the idea. If I search for vacuum forming Iron Man. Yeah, you see all those pieces are vacuum formed. Let me see if I... Oh, it's just using a shop vac. It's very easy to build your own forming machine. Basically, all you need is a box with some holes on the top and an attachment for your vacuum hose. This is the box with the holes. Actually, if you use MDF, this can often, and here you can see him forming the pieces. And yeah, this is nice because it has like those shallow angles. And this is the place where he heats it. So in the bottom, he has a UV lamp or like a infrared heating lamp, and the frame where he puts the plastic, and then this gets heated by the light. And let's see if he shows the vacuum part as well. Yeah, here it's already done. But this is very easy to build yourself. And one trick for cutting this off is to use a milling machine with a circular saw, and you put if this is your milling machine, like, let's say this is the blade, this is the arbor that holds it inside the milling machine,
Yep.
and this is your ground, or this is the base of the machine. So this is rotating like around this axis. And then you can just take your piece and you guide it on the floor, and it will make a nice cut on an equal distance all around your part. So you just have to slide it on the machine. Let's see how he cuts it out. Of course, you can also just use a Dremel tool, or what he. Oh, he's cutting it with pliers. Oh no, this is the rough cut. Oh, and then he sands it. Yeah, that's another option. Yeah, but you can see the amount and the quality of his pieces that are just awesome.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, so Harley, for making, and this applies to carbon fiber as well. You can make a composite. So you like if you have those pieces that stick out on the side, you could just make them as separate pieces and then glue them onto your main piece.
Okay.
Okay, Gerhard, you have some more experience with vacuum forming. Can you tell a little bit of what you learned?
Könnt ihr mich denn hören?
Jetzt hören wir dich, ja.
Okay. Yes, maybe I should share the. Oder kannst du das eben aufmachen, bis ich das jetzt habe?
Yeah, so I share my screen. This is the wildcard week, no?
Yes. Okay.
So you made your design. Hey, yeah, guys, I'm not sure if you saw this, but this is Gerhard's awesome wildcard week where he did the holographic chocolate. So this is all 100% chocolate, and the colors come from the structure of the chocolate, which is holographic. So it's holographic chocolate, holographic pink chocolate.
Als erstes, at first I have traced the Einhorn unicorn, and then I did it in the laser cutter, and after that, a little bit slower. Yes, the first time it was too thin, the lines was too thin, but I made the holes in it because the plastic can suck better over the edges. You can see the holes on the backside, and then I made the first test, and you can see that it's come over the plate. And I had some problems because it was too thin and I didn't get it out of the edges. Then I thought maybe I should put a little bit of water in it. Not so, go higher. And no, yes, stop. And to the microwave, and I thought maybe if I do something microwaved on it, maybe it come better out. It was like this, but it comes to heat, and the form also got formed in the microwave, and then you can go down. And then I made the traces, made more traces and combined the traces that it gets a little bit brighter, more width. And yes, then I made it on the machine, and that comes out better. And there you have the video.
Looks perfect, huh? Yeah, this is the part where it would be helpful to have like little threads in the back so that you could screw in a screw and pull it. But this also seemed to work, no? If you can push it.
That worked very well. Only the eye, I think, had to.
The eye stayed, yeah.
Yeah. That was also no problem to get it out. And yes, the next step, I took the foil. I can't read how it is called, but
this is the holographic foil,
did it in the silhouette and took the foil and put it in. Yeah.
So this little piece
in
went
the mold. And then I took the rosa chocolate, the pink chocolate, and vacuumed it and put it into the how is it called?
Sous vide, the underwater cooking wonder.
Könnt ihr mich noch hören?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then I put it into the water bath to the right temperature and put it into the mold. And then I get it out of the mold and I took off the foil from that place. And you can see the foil is laying in this area downstairs. So, yeah. And yes, that's ready made. Yeah.
And there's some more videos on chocolate holograms. Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool.
Könnt ihr mich noch hören?
Ja.
Ja? Oder nein?
Ja.
Weil ich höre euch nicht mehr.
Can you guys still hear me?
Scheiße. Okay. Video.
I hear both of you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I also hear everybody.
So,
oh, your battery is low. Oh, now you're gone. No, it's no. I think your battery is running out.
Okay. Also ihr konntet mich nicht hören.
Doch.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so you see, one of the problems was that since the material, like the board where you had the unicorn on, was not the air didn't get through it very well. So this is why Gerhard had to drill some holes. So if you make it 3D printed, I would definitely include some holes in it right away. Or if you make it from foam, the vacuum can get in better. So yeah, it's the same then with the composites. You have to make sure that the vacuum gets to all the places. Okay, I'm not sure if Jeff is still there, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here. Just that in a moment I was very very blur.
Okay.
So I said I'm just gonna deactivate my camera.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions, ideas, suggestions?
I have other question. What material we have available in the lab to work with composites?
And we have the burlap, like this this brownish textile. We have a whole bunch of all kinds of textiles, and this might actually be a nicer solution because you get it doesn't look like a potato bag, so you get something that looks a bit more stylish. And I think we even have glass fiber. Yeah, we have some really nice glass fiber. I could ask Karsten if we are allowed to
Are
use
we
it.
allowed to work with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope so, but I wouldn't.
Because
I wouldn't.
as far as I remember, I think it was Ahmed who told me, maybe even before the FabAcademy, that we weren't allowed to work with glass fiber in the Fab Lab.
Yeah, they're making a huge drama as if like carbon fiber, if you grind it, it's a problem. You have to wear respirators and like take all of the security precautions. Glass fiber is not as bad. It's still not very healthy, but like come on, like people have been working with glass fiber for decades, and like in my opinion, they're making it is dangerous, and we should take precautions. But I grew up with glass fiber and making kayaks, and yeah, I don't know, maybe at the time people were not as security conscious as nowadays. but going as far as forbidding to work with it is a bit exaggerated, in my opinion. The other thing is that glass fiber is expensive, and if this is your first time ever doing anything with composites, it might be a good idea to use some cheaper material, because usually it doesn't go well on the first try. So maybe we make a run just with burlap, and if it goes well, we can repeat it with something better. But yeah, this would be my main argument, not to waste material. But yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to saying that we can't work with glass fiber. That's going too far.
Yeah, but
We can
anyway,
do it
I
in the lab,
think
and we do it in my place.
but also I think this Moritz for his surfboard he used I think glass fiber. So
Yeah.
let's see.
So glass fiber
Okay.
is not as bad as carbon fiber. And if you see Mike Patty working with his carbon fiber, like in the beginning, sometimes he was like grinding without protection, and people were going crazy on him. And so by now he has like an extraction system that is probably like 100 horsepower. So when he turns on all his fans and all his extraction, like you could, like everything flies away. And he's wearing the respirator mask and everything. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Talk to Mike Patty in 10 years and ask him how his lungs are doing. Because the carbon fiber doesn't decompose. So if you get any particles of carbon fiber into your lungs, they will stay there forever until you die.
Okay.
So basically, you're reducing the volume of your lungs, which is not what you want.
So we should meet tomorrow in the Fab Lab?
Yeah, if you want, we can meet tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, uh, as soon we do it, it's better also for documentation.
Yeah.
So what should we bring as? Why do I look yellow? Well, what should we bring as a positive mold or negative mold, however, in what material?
You should bring a 3D model, and we can mill the mold on the big milling machine. You could also use the Roland MDX40 for making parts. It doesn't have to be huge. Like we can make smaller pieces as well. Actually, I would recommend you saw the video where Mac Patty did like this little control box. Yeah, like something. Yeah, this would be a nice size. Like like Neil would call it a coupon. It's just like a little test piece. But even if you just do something the size of your fist, this would be enough for passing the assignment. And it's a good practice. It's you get like, you remember molding casting, we did like a little figure and stuff. I think we already learned some stuff just doing a little piece, and the same for composites. And if you do one small piece quickly and discover like 3 important things, and then that's like 3 things less that go wrong with your big model. So I think in the end you save time if you make a coupon and your final piece, because yeah, most of the
Sorry,
time,
Ferdy.
yeah.
How long does the composite process take? Like from milling the part till you have it ready, like dry or however?
Depends on the temperature, but usually like I would say 10 to 24 hours.
Okay. So it should be 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this is just the time for the epoxy to dry. Like you should leave it in the press for, yeah. Depends on the epoxy. We have to read the data sheet. From the times where I was building kayaks, it was always 24 hours. And I hated it. 24 hours. Are you serious? But my father, like, he was very strict and he said, yeah, you have to wait 24 hours. But of course, you want to open it like the next day and look at it, and then you open it and you destroy everything. So yeah, patience is an important part of the recipe. So should I reserve a day for us tomorrow in the lab?
Yeah, please.
9 o'clock?
Yep. But also, I don't know what about Harley's time and also yo. I know. Sorry. No, I was about to say if we could start today.
Oh, yeah.
But is it possible because of I think because of for the calendar and all of these leads, we are supposed to do it one day before,
Yeah,
like to announce you in the calendar and that was the list.
yeah. But you have your 3D models already?
Oh, I'm not ready for today. I need to
Okay.
finish the two sketch and then make the 3D model.
Okay, it's just that at least since I'm gonna just remake this, so I think I can take advantage of it. If you notice these holes, these are for making maybe adding another acrylic layer and just make it as I did with the remote control. I can just use the any composite or however, so it won't be a big deal for me to redesign
Yeah.
to redesign it for this assignment.
Okay, I will stop the recording and we can keep chatting a little bit.